It's a common story. Strange defenses so unbelievable it looks like someone is trying to pull a fast one on the legal system.
The Willits case is a pretty good example of how the public was convinced by people who did not know the facts that what I was offering was a phony defense and it was just a figment of a lawyer's imagination. That is not true.
According to her lawyer, Kathy Willits was a law-abiding woman of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with an unusual dilemma.
She had taken Prozac. She said that it made her into a nymphomaniac.
Her husband, Jeff Willits, a Broward County Sheriff's deputy, faced what he saw as an impossible challenge.
Jeff, at the same time, said that he couldn't keep up with her, and that because of his psychological attitude, he became partially impotent. It's a manhood thing, I think.
The solution to their problems would lead to one of Fort Lauderdale's most sordid tales. It all began in Tamarack, a well-to-do suburb of Fort Lauderdale. Local sheriff's deputies received a tip that the home of Jeff and Kathy Willits was being used for prostitution. They showed up on July 23, 1991, with a search warrant. Despite the presence of an unnamed man in the house, Kathy Willits insisted there was nothing illegal going on.
There was a gentleman there, but we were not having sexual relations.
The raid, however, produced convincing evidence that the Willits home was a brothel. Police discovered an engagement book filled with names and a column indicating payments. They calculated Jeff and Kathy Willits were making more than $2,000 a week. Not only that, Jeff Willits had a habit of watching his wife from the bedroom closet and reviewing her customers' performances in a little black book. Some of the men were among Fort Lauderdale's most prominent citizens. 2 days later, in a Broward County courtroom, Kathy was charged with prostitution and Jeff with being her pimp. Much to the dismay of their nervous clients, the couple decided to mount a vigorous defense. They hired colorful Florida attorney Ellis Rubin, who is well known for his unusual defenses, as well as a take-no-prisoners approach to the law.
Well, the Willitses have now given me permission. They have said you may fire when ready, Mr. Rubin, and that's what we're going to do. Now that's all that I'm going to say. Let's go.
Ellis Rubin quickly announced that he had an explanation for the Willits' suspicious behavior. Kathy had been hospitalized for depression, and her doctor had prescribed Prozac. Rubin claimed that the antidepressant drug, which in rare cases is known to increase the libido, had turned Kathy Willits into a sex addict. This had driven the couple to an unusual lifestyle. They began inviting men home to have sex with Kathy. The defense attorney referred to this as, quote, surrogate sex.
This was therapy for a woman who had an overly active sex drive, because the male who went to her house was never charged a specific amount of money. He was asked to leave a contribution.
District Attorney Joel Lazarus, who was set to prosecute the case, was unfazed by Rubin's unorthodox approach.
The case itself is a unspectacular case, which was blown way out of proportion. If you're on Prozac and you charge money for sex, it's still prostitution.
Investigators had also uncovered unauthorized recordings made by Jeff Willits of telephone conversations with Kathy's clients. Wiretapping counts were added to the prostitution and pandering charges against the couple. The media coverage increased with every new development. This terrified the men named in the Little Black Book. One of the people watching nervously happened to be the Fort Lauderdale vice mayor, Doug Danziger. A deacon at his church, Danziger had crusaded against topless dance clubs and the sale of pornographic magazines. It was rumored that he had left his business card at the Willits home. On July 29, 1991, 6 days after the scandal broke, Danziger resigned from the Fort Lauderdale City Commission. Jeff and Kathy basked in their newfound celebrity. Now their defense attorney thought that his clients were taking the story just a bit too far.
Well, the backlash was that they became obsessed by their own fame. She became suddenly the priestess of lust.
Soon the Willits were looking for ways to cash in.
I saw calendars being offered for sale at stores with Kathy in her negligee. And when I saw other commercial enterprises suddenly erupting all over the place, I called them in and I said, "What are you trying to do? If the judge sees that you're profiting off of this case or the accusations, he's going to come down on you very hard. Now cut it out."
Okay. Is that the
Ellis Rubin convinced the Willits that it was time to strike a deal. In the first week of September 1991, he announced that a tentative plea bargain had been agreed upon. Would this be the end of the nymphomania defense? Almost. It turned out that the Willits had a secret, one that would scuttle their strange defense for good.
It soon emerged that Jeff Willits was something of an amateur cameraman. He had made a videotape of his wife in bed with ex-Vice Mayor Doug Danziger. It was hard to see how the couple could blame Prozac for this one.